Your favorite Haitian siblings are about to talk about the faith, TV shows, and experiences that made them who they are today. We're your hosts, Loving Kindness, pronouns they, them, she, her, and Perpetua, pronouns she, her. Let's dive into TV trauma and truth. Welcome back. Last week, in part one of our Wicked for Good breakdown, we talked about the characters in depth. This week, we're going to dig into more of the film's themes and rate the soundtrack song by song. Let's get into it.
So now, let's talk about it. Let's talk about queer love in the time of Oz.
Let's.
So, I was going to say fans are divided, but I don't know how much division there was. Fans were united in wanting more from from As Long As You're Mine, particularly the blocking of As Long As You're Mine. Before the movie came out, John Chu stated in some interview that oh yeah, y'all are gonna love what's coming in As Long As You're Mine. It's steamy, it's sexy, it's more than the stage play. And then the movie came out, and we all sat in theaters and saw that John Chu is a bit of a liar. John Chu is a bit of a liar. John Chu, come in the pod, defend yourself. So I have to say, I felt slightly differently the second time around.
Yeah,
I
I had the
understood,
same deal. In my note, I have, meh, it's okay.
and that is about right. I understood why I felt and many of us felt the way that we did, because the opening lyrics are kind of wasted on the blocking. That is true.
Hugely.
So, as far as where the characters are emotionally and what they do with the blocking, it's not the craziest. It's not impossible to understand. It's just tough, very tough, when when you're walking away from someone to go change while you're singing, Kiss Me Too Fiercely, Hold Me Too Tight. It's just mixed messaging, you know?
Yeah, it's actually I know this story like the back of my hand that I don't really the kind of anger that I experience is just very in world, but I have this meta rage when I see that particular moment happen. She's walking away, she's facing the other direction, and she's shrugging off her clothes while she says, "Kiss me too fiercely and hold me too tight." I'm like, now is not the time for you to be speaking metaphorically. You only have this time together. That's what makes the stage moment so beautiful. To say nothing of the fact that the entire stage play is an amazing marvel in tactile production. You have to see them kind of get wrenched apart time and again throughout the play. And then this is the moment that they get to come together. And the simplicity actually of the set at that moment is one of the things that makes it so beautiful. It's the two of them on their knees in front of each other, smoke surrounding them on stage, and they're just touching each other a lot. Like their hands are supposed to just be all over their face, arms, torso, and they're rising and falling on their knees in a very undulatory fashion. Like it's suggestive and still tasteful, but very, very sensual. And we just kind of got it at the end. Once we get it, for me personally, I was like, amazing. This is what I wanted the whole time. But why didn't we get it from the jump? Well, why waste time? Why waste all of our time having Jonathan Bailey just stare at in wonder at some propaganda that he's seen all over the Capitol?
Now, he may have helped print. Listen, yeah, with the way that it was blocked and what's happening with the lyrics and everything, the first time I watched this, I was like, because I don't often think about Jonathan Bailey's sexuality. I'm just like, this man is hot, sexy, and has chemistry with anything,
Literally a wall.
right? Like the bay leaf that is in his Instagram handle, he could have chemistry with that. So it's like, when this scene was happening, this was the first time ever of all the projects I've watched Jonathan Bailey in, I was like, "Is Jonathan Bailey gay?" Which I knew at that point watching it. I was like, "Oh," like, but it was giving, like, this man I was like, "Are y'all afraid? Is he afraid to" it was giving, like, Beard, like, Lavender Marriage. It just
Oh, that's
wasn't
fascinating.
yeah. I was like
I wanna get, like, a little more detail about that because 'cause I'm thinking about other projects that he's been in that he's famously in, like, starring as, like, opposite a female lead, and there's, like, tons of chemistry there, and any delay is motivated by societal mores and meant to fuel lots of yearning. So, like, what is the difference between the 2? And I'm referencing Bridgerton.
oh,
But, like, what's
yeah.
the difference you think between, like, Kate Sharma and Anthony Bridgerton and Fiyero Tigalar and Elphaba Throp?
Well, the horse is the same. That we know for sure.
It's
But
true, the horse is the same.
I, uh, I was just like, he has more chemistry with this propaganda that he's holding. I was like, I feel like he burns for that propaganda. Meanwhile, Elphaba's
Yeah,
like
he was, like, looking at it like real, "Ooh, ah," and then, like, holding it. I'm like, "Put that down."
right, like, the paper might as well be singing "Hold Me Too Tight," and he's, like,
Yeah.
smothering his face with
So
it,
you think, like, the
rubbing
energy was, like, placed in the wrong that might have been a cross between direction and choice? We'll never
well,
know.
yeah, I mean, like, they're not looking at each other, they're not touching for, like, up to 30 to 40 seconds of the beginning of the song. A song
And it's only
that
3 minutes.
is known for them touching each other. And, like, historically speaking, and the lyrics are just goading that point as well. So I'm watching and I'm like, "Oh, are they just never gonna" like, did they just not want to where was the intimacy coordinator on this one? Were they just not on set, and so they couldn't have any interaction? What's going on?
Well, like,
Uh,
everyone agreed, like, they all said, like, "This is good, let's put it on the big screen."
everyone agreed.
So I'm like,
Everyone agreed. Well, we don't know.
everyone felt that this worked, and I'm just like, How?"
I don't know.
Winnie
Somehow
Holtzman, you
somehow
were there. Stephen
even
Schwartz, you
short.
were there.
Yeah, yeah. But, it is what it is. But, yeah, I was like so when the talking points came out later about, these are 2 queer people who are telling a love story, and what a beautiful thing. I was like, "Yeah, it would've been beautiful if y'all look like you like each other for real." Like, I was like, "Oh," like and then for the honestly, the rest of the movie, which isn't long that they're together, but for the rest of the movie, I didn't really buy into their dynamic. Like, I was like, it was, I don't know, a boner killer, I guess. I don't know what to say. Like, I just like, I just wasn't there for it anymore because it fully took me out. It fully took me out, and I never got put back in because the movie doesn't really the original story doesn't really care that much about Fiero. Let's just be upfront about that. Like, he's not the point.
He says
And
he's a
so
supporting character. Yeah, the true love story of this is between Elphaba and Glinda, so
yeah, so even him coming later, like, to save Elphaba, there's not much between Fiero and Elphaba in that moment. Honestly, more happens between Glinda and Fiero. Yeah, I just, like, didn't care anymore. And it was fine because the point of the movie is Glinda and Elphaba. It was disappointing, and it was also hyped up. I was like, I wonder what would happen if they
yeah.
hadn't read that statement, but feel like many people didn't read that statement. And still,
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, "What's going on?"
yeah,
I was still having a really great time. I remember watching it for the first time in the theater because it's a marvel to hear Jonathan Bailey sing, and I loved his spin that he put on the spin he put on his verse and refrain in the song. And again, once they do get over that strange hump at the beginning of the song that makes it make no sense, I do like the physical choices that the 2 of them make that But it's just like I'm simultaneously, like, upset because it's like, "Why did we take so long to get here? We just don't have a lot of time with them." And I do think that what the same is true in the stage play, and it's n y all that time is used effectively. Like, there is everything moves along quickly for, like, the 2 hours that you get with the show when you're in the theater, but it's still clear that there's yearning on both sides for one another. And the stage is really set in Wicked Part 1, the film, and I see that between them, that there's this, like, "I've been changed by this moment we shared." And
Right.
then the payoff is not so strong. I think one of the things it's a qualm I have with Cynthia Erivo's acting choice as Elphaba, like, particularly with Fiyero. Like, I understand that they made this choice in the film to, like, drag out some of the things, like, draw out some of the encounters that that Elphaba as the Wicked Witch has with, like, society, and therefore Fiyero, as the captain of the guard, is off looking for her, so she has this moment where she feels betrayed. She thinks that Fiyero has completely joined the ranks of the wizard, and so she's on her guard, like, she has this real, like, stiff upper lip, and her chin is out, and her eyes are narrowed, like, she's like, "I dare you," and she kind of still takes that with her even when Fiyero has grabbed her hand and they run off to her hideaway, like, but I'm like, "I don't know." We don't have a lot of time, again, so I'm like, I think you need to, like, let your guard down more than perhaps would have been realistic for the character, just so that we can have this moment as fans, and so that the story can have the moment because that's such an important and pivotal part of the story. It makes what happens later so much more impactful, that we think
Right.
we've lost Fiyero, that we then do see that Elphaba got to like, was able to save him despite her uncertainty and her desperation. Like, it all still meant something to me because I can do a lot of imagination using my imagination, thanks to all the time I've spent with the story to, like, infuse those emotions where it feels like they're lacking, but yeah, she had to give a lot of her energy to those final climactic moments with Glinda, and I understand that, but I wish she'd saved some for Fiyero because deserved it. Because Fiyero, I mean, Jonathan Bailey left it all on the table.
Yeah, he's the first
The
Fiero
moment
I've
when
ever
he's
cared
being
about.
held by the guards and he's like, "Take care of her, Chistry," I was like, "Wow, this man can
Yeah.
act."
I mean, his eyes,
His
those eyes,
eyes, it's amazing. He is so good at using his eyes.
so
So
beautiful.
good.
So, yeah, it was very much meh. Even, like, second time around, I was like, "Okay, I understand it more. I see what's happening. It's fine. It's fine. You're floating up." It just yeah, it was very anticlimactic. And the first movie, which we'll talk about a bit, I think, at the end, but the first movie is so good at the setup that it really makes you feel like there's nowhere to go but up. But alas, there was also down. I want to talk about a key theme of the movie, of the story. Are people born wicked or do they have wickedness thrust upon them? Elphaba, like you were saying before, in relating to Elphaba, I feel like anyone who's ever felt like an outsider can relate to Elphaba. She is that vessel for an audience member, and it was really moving to read interviews that Gregory Maguire did last year, talking about the queerness of the story and Elphaba, representing deep marginalization, being a trans allegory, all of that added, and then with Elphaba being played by a Black woman, Cynthia Erivo, all that added layers to being able to have this have this connection to the story for me. So the second time I saw Wicked, I was just that much more moved. I mean, the first time I saw it, it blew me away. The part 1, I did not have high expectations, and I didn't really have any expectations. I was just like, "Love Wicked," came into the movie, took myself out for a self-care night, and saw it, and was yeah, just no one saw that coming. I don't really think anyone saw that coming. So, it was just really, really good, and so then, obviously, we were able to really revel in that as a society, those of us who, cared to just really be immersed into the experience of Wicked. So then going to see it later with all of that community joy around it and understanding and Elphaba being lauded, as a character while also being the symbol for the outsider was, I think, a really powerful moment, especially with how much of myself and my experience I could see in her and relate to in her. And even down to like the way that she was viewed by like her father and classmates was just like deeply relatable. Like as a kid, I was always like, especially like at home, like by our mom, was like labeled as like a bad kid, you know? Like I was not societally conforming in like behavior all the time. Very much the Aquarius cusp would come out, and I was like, I'm really just doing what I want to do with what is in alignment with like my moral compass. I definitely got like in a lot of most of my conflicts with like authority, like never, never have been great with authority, had to do with, their rules and laws, like lacked fairness, didn't make sense, weren't equitably distributed amongst the students. And, I was a little black kid in mostly Boston, Massachusetts. So there are just a lot of layers to that. And just like having to, yeah, kind of deal with this external perception that I didn't really hold. Sometimes it would like creep in because of just like the frequency with which it was being put upon me. But I largely managed to like keep those outside perceptions at bay of like being a quote unquote bad kid. And so, yeah, I could definitely relate to Elphaba's struggle because it's like she's just like, hey, I'm just green, you know, and I have no control over that. And I also have no control over these powers. And she also has this a deep sense of right and wrong and like fairness in society and a lot of love for her home, for her family that is just not being reflected back to her by basically anyone. In the original story, the original musical, no one, because Dulcie Bear does not exist. But yeah, so I could just like relate to those aspects of her and like her journey was just like very similar to mine. And the author continued to lay bare that it's even more similar to mine than the adaptations might make overt. And so for that to all be true and for Alphabet to be this character that we're all exploring and think piecing and all of this stuff was like a quality moment of visibility and representation, even for those who are less aware of all the layers that were going on, they're still celebrating her and defending her and uplifting her. And that's good.
And that's good. Thanks for sharing that perspective. It is something that Cynthia Erivo does really well, which I'm sure she brings some lived experience into the role, and that is showing the pain that somebody in her position would experience. So showing the pain of being constantly an outsider. Like, you see that she even I mean, she still is trying after all this time. You get this flashback of her as a kid and being blamed for something that wasn't her fault and just, like, blamed for existing. And then you see in the present that and I'm talking about in Wicked Part 1, when she still, as a young adult, is trying to stand up for her sister's agency and stand up to her dad as a result. And when her dad hisses and cuts her off, just in such a nasty way, like, she she just, like, knows that that's coming, but she's still willing to take that chance because she loves so hard, and you see how, like, she kind of, like it's almost like she swallows his comment and, like, kind of neutralizes it within her, but it's still doing something in her, when that happens, and she's had to grow up all her life feeling that way, so that's just one of the reasons why defying gravity is so powerful because, again, that disappointment is that's an understatement for what she experiences when she realizes that the wizard is a fraud and that no one can, like, save her from her condition, her feeling of being oppressed and of feeling like an outsider and unworthy, and that, in fact, it all has to come from within her. I'm gonna go listen to the song after this. Uh-huh, yeah, and, yeah, so she's a really powerful symbol for anyone who has been, like, marked very much marked and labeled like a brand as different and uncontrollable and therefore, like, almost useless, because if I can't, like, take you and make you what I need you to be for my day to day, then, like, what good are you? That's I mean, when you hear it said, it sounds so gross, but it's unfortunately how we treat each other sometimes. Even when the best of us will fall into that, like, utilitarian behavior with one another. So it's important. That's why art is just one of the most amazing things that exists, to get to see that reflected, and maybe it can remind you of a time when you were in that situation and help you remember that you don't want to put somebody else in that place. Now we're gonna do some rapid fire, as rapid as it can be with the two of us. Yap, nap, or gaps. Rating the soundtrack of Wicked for Good. So we're gonna start with the first song, Every Day More Wicked, which has made its way onto my on repeat playlist on Spotify. I think against my will, but it is just the first song on the soundtrack. So I'm gonna give it a gap personally. And the reason for that is that there's too many la-las in there. They're doing the when they're reprising
What a
when they're
crazy
reprising
reason.
Windows Fit in Popular. I can't stand it. They just, like, go up several octaves, and then they've got the chorus of men going, "La, la, 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 la," and I don't wanna hear it. So it's a gap. Otherwise, it's great. I really like Elphaba's little bit that they introduce in there, like, reprising the melody from The Wizard and I. That was a good, like, exposition kind of previously on for the character. But I can't stand that popular reprise. I can't deal with it.
Well, for me, this song is also a gap. Less to do with that, but more actually because it reminds me that this movie should not have been split into 2. It is,
Oh,
it is
what? This can't
and,
be rapid fire when you drop such a huge bomb in there.
we can talk I have more to say about it when we rate the overall film.
Okay.
Um,
Alright.
but it's an effective recap. I think, like, they
Mhm.
accomplished their mission flawlessly, maybe. I would say, like, they do it. You are caught up with where everyone is. You have no idea how long it's been. Maybe that's something that they could have
No, you
put
don't.
in there.
Which is true in the stage play too, I guess, so
Yeah.
staying
But
true to form.
in the stage play, at least, you know it's been 15 minutes for you. For this, it's been a year of since you've seen the last one. So, yeah, that was it. It's just, like, watching I will say, like, the truth is when I sat down to watch this, I was not the most excited to watch it. And so when I sat down to rewatch it for this podcast, when this started, I was like, yeah, like, I know, I know." And even kind of the first time I saw it in theaters, I also didn't love the song because I was like, "Who doesn't remember where we were?" You know what I mean? Who
Mhm.
has So I think I appreciate how in the stage musical, you just kinda they just hit the next button, you're somewhere else in the story, and not just somewhere else. Thank goodness it was, like, my favorite song from the original, so that was then put off for another, like, 15 minutes. And I just like the in media res nature of coming right into greeting the citizens of Oz. It's a gap.
It's a gap. That's 2 for gap, so it's a gap, and that's locked. Next, thank goodness I couldn't be happier, which is what it's labeled here, and I don't think that's what it's called in the Broadway
It is
soundtrack,
not.
so
It
that's
is not.
weird too for me, but I found it a gap too, mostly because and it's just a structure thing and like a Broadway faithful thing. I do wanna say that I loved Ariana's voice on the track. She brought the emotion, the heart that the song needs and that the character's having in the moment. But because they split up the Every Day More Wicked from Thank Goodness, it's like all kind of supposed to be its own, like, major opening number. And then they added what they did to Every Day More Wicked. It feels disjointed and stilted to me. It's like I still am expecting for us to like get into the song. I wish that Madame Morrible's, like, just straight up lies that are in the original Thank Goodness were featured in this movie and on the soundtrack. In the original, she just has a completely false retelling of what happened on that day that Elphaba and Glinda went to visit the wizard, and I think that that would have been an incredible visual for Madame Morrible to see Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible do that and drive the point home that, like, there's a real machine that is operating to turn the people against Elphaba. I think that was a loss. So, gap.
I hear that. For me, it's a yap. Again, like I said, I love this song, and while people can tend to be surprised when I say, like, it was my favorite, I just have always really loved the, I guess, slash, I couldn't be happier part of Thank Goodness. Lyrically, vocally, what Glinda gets to do in that song makes it a huge standout for me, and I feel like Ariana Grande nailed it, and I don't love change. I know every artist for an adaptation is always gonna take their own spin, but I didn't hate anything that Ariana did with her slight modulations for Thank Goodness. So, I was here for it. It didn't disappoint me, didn't make me cringe. And there was nothing I had to adjust to strongly, and to me, it just, like, was a good adaptation of the song. I have always hated the part where the Munchkins start talking about, "I hear her soul so unclean." That musically, I've always just been like, "Why is this in here?"
Oh, I love that so much. It's one of my, like, favorite, like, vocal or musical stems ever, and I will just, like, prance around the house. It doesn't matter how recently I've watched Wicked or heard the soundtrack, it just, like, comes up from within. "I hear she has an
Mhm.
extra eye that always remains awake."
Yeah.
And I will switch parts, like, I will switch total personalities to get into the character of, like, this one line, the person who has this one line. So,
Mhm.
anyway, that's me.
Yeah. I don't mind it that it exists in the show. I just don't want it to interrupt my song.
I get it.
Um,
That's a personal preference.
Personal preference.
No Place Like Home. This is a new song written specifically for the movie, and it is a solo song that Elphaba sings to the animals when they are running away from Oz because things look hopeless. And it is a gap for me, dog. It's I actually really love the, like, score motif, the way that it's placed in John Powell's score throughout the soundtrack, that soundtrack, but I don't like it as a song. I don't really understand, like, tempo or like, melody-wise, like, where it's going until the end. Like, that's when everything seems to coalesce, and I don't think it's a particularly, like, great use of Cynthia Erivo's vocals. Like, I appreciate it as a scene. I don't think it needed to be a song. I think it was fine if it didn't exist. The end.
Well, well,
Oh,
well.
does that mean actually nope, I said gap. I meant nap. Get rid of it.
It's a nap for you. It's a yap for me. It's a yap
Holy
of
moly. I feel like I don't know you. I feel like I don't know you. We
Hi,
are
nice to meet you.
diverging.
Like 2 roads in the yellow brick wood. The I definitely hear you on saying, like, this was not the best use of Cynthia Erivo's vocals, like, she could have done way more with another song, and also, I feel like this was my favorite of the original song for this film. I didn't have too much to like, it didn't grab me in first watch. I was just like, "Okay, like, new song alert." But on rewatch, I did really like the song. I like the way it starts, and then the melody shifts, and I think the messaging is just, like, really powerful. I think it's a, like, great song for Black Americans who are rooted in America. There's a lot of people who, like, feel strongly about living here, about the ideals that this country were purportedly founded on, and I feel like this is an anthem in ways, and so I feel like it was very powerful, again, for this Black woman playing Elphaba to be delivering this song. Obviously, there is a torrid relationship with Cynthia Erivo and Black Americans that we won't get into all that much right now, but I just wanna acknowledge that. But regardless, the song itself, I felt was beautifully delivered, well timed, added some texture to what was going on. The scene itself, like, I was almost like, "Just go ahead and black out the screen during this part," because I was like, nothing really interesting is happening on screen, and I suppose Cynthia was probably just in a room by herself singing because or, like, in the forest they built for sure, but,
Yeah,
she's
they
singing
built
to a
that
bunch of
road.
CGI. Yeah.
Mhm.
So singing to a bunch of CGI animals on the road that they built. So maybe just tennis balls littered across. I don't know. But yeah, I like the song itself a lot, and it's a yap for me.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. One of the things that I do appreciate about the song is that it brought the word loam back into my vernacular. It's only dirt and rock and loam. And, I just forgot that I have access to that word. So I just want to thank Stephen Schwartz for reminding me and for Cynthia Erivo for singing it so beautifully.
There you go.
Next, The Wicked Witch of the East. This song, fans of the Broadway musical have desperately desired for this song to have been on the soundtrack because it is in the stage play. It is sung, but it didn't make it onto the soundtrack. And it's such, I mean, and I think the reason, if I'm not mistaken, the reason why was because it's like a huge spoiler for like the show that they made versus like the story of the Wizard of Oz. So that's, like, the reason why they left it off, but you know what? I don't care. I always wanted it on there, so I'm glad to hear it, and I think that it was sung very well, and I think it was just great and beautiful yap. Marissa Bodie, you're a real one.
I'm gonna call it a gap. I don't care about it, but it is well done. And that's all I have to say.
Okay,
And, you know, Marissa
alright.
going, "Look at which of these," like, it's that's she does a great job. I just don't
Yeah, she has that job and she does it well, like, to really deliver that and then the camera work and it all comes together great in the movie. We zoom in on her from below, and it's just excellent. Excellent stuff.
yeah. And lyrically, with it saying, like, "Don't leave me till my sorry life has ceased," like, it's nice that she gets, like, an I need song. As a character, I think it's a cool thing that they gave her that real estate, and maybe necessary because they're about to put a house on her and stuff, and as far as adaptations go from The Wizard of Oz, that's important context. But they could have probably gotten away without this, and they chose to do it, and so I respect it.
Respect. Okay, next track. Wonderful. Ah, boy. This is funny because Wonderful is a track that on the original soundtrack was a gap for so long. Like I would sometimes be into it and other times not be. But as I grew as a person and developed even more social consciousness, I found a lot of amazement and education in the lyrics. It's an excellent kind of explainer in the hypocrisy of man, of societies at large. And yeah, it's very who lives, who dies, who tells your story. So I really I have come to super yap the Broadway soundtrack version, and I think that is why I ache inside with the movie version. It's a nap, not because I'm bored, but because I just think it was completely butchered. It is a hard thing for me to say that and also really, really appreciate that they brought Glinda into the scene in the film because it really helps sell the vision and the dream to Elphaba for a bit because they had been the two of them together when they went to see the wizard, and now, that's the parallel. So cinematically it works, but I think just like listening to it on its own, I'm sitting there just like sitting and waiting to like listen to Jeff Goldblum. I really wanted Jeff Goldblum to like sing that whole song. Like, Elphaba only had one line. This was just supposed to be Jeff Goldblum's song, and it just isn't, and that makes me sad.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really great point, actually. You're making me rethink my life. I was like, "It's kind of a yap I don't feel strongly about, but maybe it is a gap in the sense that you just brought up." I am definitely I'm, like, having to work hard to separate the song from the visuals because it is so visually arresting and
Mhm.
emotionally impactful with, like, you see how Elphaba is being whisked away by the ideal of this dream, and it's so powerful because of how hard she's been fighting, like, and it's all just feels very well motivated on screen.
Yeah, it's very "Aren't you tired?"
Right, right. My favorite part of the song is getting to hear Jeff Goldblum, so I agree that, like, how much more impactful could it have been to just hear the wizard be delivering these lines, and then specifically the wizard portrayed by Jeff Goldblum, because, again, I don't also really care that much for Joel Grey. He's great. He's great. But I just, like, in a similar way to, like, me not caring about Fiyero in the stage musical, the wizard also is like, I'm like, "And you're also here," you know? But Jeff Goldblum's charm and charisma comes through all of the words that he speaks, sings, So I really appreciate what he has to bring to each song that he's a part of. And so, yeah, it would have been nice and it would have been an emotionally different experience to hear it all come from him. It could have been interesting.
Yeah.
So
I think
I'll
also
stick,
because it Oh, go ahead.
I'll stick with it being a gap.
Alright. I have more to say about Wonderful. I'm gonna say it, which is that I just think because we end up finding out, that the wizard is the one who fathered Elphaba after all. Spoiler alert. If it had been the 2 of them in the room, it would have been a more intimate moment that would have driven home the shock of it all. Not that Jeff Goldblum did a bad job at that, it was actually incredible and it hit me right in the feels, but it would have been a nice, like, callback, and and the wizard would have stood as a more and perhaps been more understood as a manipulative figure because he understands that underneath Elphaba's drive for the social good, she does desire attention, and that's what he's playing on when he sings this song. He's teaching her a lesson about how people and societies work when they're at their worst, and he's trying to convince her that societies are always at their worst, and then he's trying to tempt her with that, like, by pressing on this wound of neglect that she has. And Glinda is, we've talked about her naivete. With her there, kinda softens the whole thing, and it's just a chance to really see how evil can get dressed up or wickedness can get dressed up if it was just the 2 of them. And that also involves, like, you having all of the original lyrics of the song. So, yeah. Nap. Next.
Respect. Yeah. Next up, I'm Not That Girl. Reprise.
Yes. For me, it's 100% a yap. Ariana Grande killed it. And I mean, for me, it was not just the vocals, it was also the way she performed the song in the film. She was just a girl who wanted to get married to the man she loves, and she didn't get to do that. And it was very sad. And loving just not agree or care, rolling their eyes.
It's just that she didn't that's it it's nice that her acting can make you feel like it's so simple and that she's just a girl, but she's just a bitch. Like, we talked about this already, but and, like, yes, like, at the core of, like, deluding yourself into that's the other thing, it's just like like, deluding yourself from the first movie, right? Like, pretending that Fiero and Elphaba don't have the connection that they clearly have, you know? Not all on you, I guess, because 'cause I'm sure they were maybe a little bit trying to hide it too, but, like, boxing, if people just aren't seeing what they need to see, and it's on purpose, you know? So,
Mhm.
like, the shock and awe that he would go with her when, like, a couple days ago,
I
he was like,
Fiyero would go
"Gotta
with
find her."
Elphaba, that is.
Yeah, he was like, "I have to find her," and he's, like, being real fierce about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, "I
And I
need
mean,
to
she
find
hesitated,
you,
You know me, I'm
gotta
always
find
happy.
you."
Stop.
I didn't hear what you said over mine. Great
Well,
rendition.
yes, I mean, Glinda could feel that Vieira is not all there and not all there for her because he's like, "Ah, you know me, I'm always happy."
Right, his
And
little
she's
trick
like,
kiss pull
"Hmm."
away, you know? So and again, all of that listlessness and stuff that he's doing as performance, Jonathan Bailey, adds to the disappointment of the song we're about to be on, As Long As You're Mine. I guess I didn't say what my feelings, but I'm Not That Girl. Also a yap. It's a good job. Great
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
Ariana
you just
Grande.
had to get
Yeah,
those we had to get those Glinda feelings out. Yeah,
yeah.
I get it.
But, all of that performance that Jonathan Bailey is doing, coupled, like, off the first movie, now into through this, and, like, his deep burning for her that is so clear, then manifests in As Long As You're Mine, visually. I know we're here to rate the song, not the scene, even though we keep talking about the scene, but we are rating based on the song. But it is just speaks to it is why it's so disappointing that, like, that burning passion, and Jonathan Bailey is so good at burning passion. That's why it's a letdown, the way that the scene transpires. It's like they de-Bailey'd him. They were like it's like when they muted Daniel Radcliffe's grief-stricken scream in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. They were like, "We need less of your raw talent and natural being. It's just too much. Audiences can't take it. We can take it. Give us Jonathan
Yeah, we actually are begging for it.
begging, begging.
If we are in the theater for something like Wicked or Harry Potter, like you referenced, it's because we really need to feel something. So, like, give it to us anyway, as long as you're mine. It is it's a gap for me, and the reason
Mm,
why is because of something that I'm sure neither singer could really control, but I really love in the original that Fiero's verse is a key change. I'm a key change hoe.
mm.
I love a key change. Like, there are people who are like, "Key changes are corny," and I hear key change, and I get goose pimples all over my skin. So, we didn't get it, and I was like, "Man," and the thing is they still did this huge buildup as if they were gonna change the key, so I was like, don't do that then," you know? But,
That makes
um, they so, I just wish that they hadn't done that. But I love both of their voices in the song, and oh, wow, Jonathan Bailey brings so much power to that line, "It's up that I fell." I can, like, feel the blood vessels bursting, like, when he's singing it. It's excellent stuff. It's my one qualm, but it is, like, for me, just a key part of the song, so, I suppose I must call it a gap. It would otherwise be a yap, if that
but it was
helps.
missing something,
Mhm.
and that's the thing it was missing. So it's a gap. For me, it's a gap. I hear you on the key change. I'm selective about key changes. I'm wondering though if that was an emotional choice that they made for the musical or a modulation for the original actors that just kind of carried on
Who
through the
could
test
say?
of time.
Yeah.
Stephen. Stephen probably could say. Stephen Schwartz, come on the pod. I
Please.
do enjoy the adaptation and all the new runs and everything, and Jonathan Bailey just, like, again, never cared about a Fiero until it was Jonathan Bailey, hearing his voice, and that includes Tay Diggs, who did a great turn, but I just getting to hear Jonathan Bailey sing makes my heart sing,
Put that on a
and
T-shirt.
yeah, like, if anything, they should have put him in Wonderful just so I could hear him sing more. I'll do whatever it takes to hear Jonathan Bailey sing more.
You should have had a line in every song, I don't know.
Right, right. It's gonna give me I'm gonna yap about it. I'm gonna keep on yapping because
Okay.
I just wanna keep hearing it.
Alright. As
So,
long as your mind is also on my on repeat playlist on Spotify, so, like, I can gap all I want, but I'm still listening to it.
right, proof's in the pudding.
Next,
Alright.
No Good Deed.
It's okay, here's the thing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Good, good point I've made in my head that I'm gonna now share with you all out loud. Okay, I don't want to give it a gap. I don't want to. I really don't. But I think
Oh.
I have to reflect how angry I am about exactly one thing. That Fiero should be Elphaba's. Giving
Oh, the one that starts the song.
Fiero to Glinda pissed me the hell off. I thought I might be less mad about it when I saw it the second time, and I was in fact angrier. So,
Yeah,
I
that's
think with the
that's
first time
definitely grounds for a gap.
yeah, the first time I was confused. First time I was like, "Was that Glinda or is this?" Because like, while it's happening, they cut to Elphaba flying, so I'm like, "Maybe this is Elphaba." I'm like, "No, I'm pretty sure that's Glinda." And then I just know that that's a fact, and then I'm watching it again, and I'm like, that's Elphaba's. That's just and maybe that's the purist in me, but that is Elphaba's Fiero, and I don't mean it in a figurative sense, but like that line, that 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 cry, that cry is her. And yes, she gets, Fiero, Fiero. She does all the great things that
Yeah.
make the song a yap, like in every other sense for me. But taking that away from her and giving it to Glinda, which even saying it in that way just is just more of the same, right? Narratively speaking. It's just disturbing. It's disturbing. It's a disturbing decision that they made, and I could never trust them after that. But again, all of you who we
I'm
invited, come on the pod.
I'm so sorry you feel that way because this is totally a yeah for me. I
Mhm.
love
Yeah.
this song, and of all the so in my first viewing of the movie in theaters, of all the songs that were sung and all the scenes, like just any kind of set that was completed, this was the one that got applause in the theater.
Mm.
And
I
I
mean,
I could not I mean, if it had only been me, I would have just dealt with the consequences because I truly couldn't help myself. I was like my eyes became the flames that were in the film. It was just you mentioned earlier that No Place Like Home feels like an anthem for really good, understandable reasons, and No Good Deed has always felt like an anthem for, like, the eldest daughter that lives within, and as Cynthia Erivo is a Black woman, and there's just, like, every bit of symbolism in the character, like, really comes alive with her performance. It just felt like that much more powerfully an anthem. I was just like, "Oh, yeah, No Good Deed." I was going through some stuff, particularly at that point when I saw the movie, and I was just like, "Oh, yeah, set it all ablaze. We are, in fact, wicked."
I mean,
And
they
I
do.
think I loved Cynthia's, like, glide into the last chorus, and I just loved some of the, like, modal, like, intonations that she used for the song. It was yeah, like, I didn't think that anybody could top Idina Menzel's or Eden Espinosa's versions, but Cynthia's definitely on par with them, so shouts out, girl.
And
You did it.
and musically, when the guitar comes in, like the electric guitar,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
it's
Very,
so
very punk rock.
yeah, so additive and, like, visually, I mean, I watched, like, the Architectural Digest video, I think that's who put it out, about how they made the set for that scene and, like, just how much effort and artistry went into creating, like, that set. It all was just incredibly powerful. I can't imagine, like, walking along that set, even just the parts that are real, like, obviously, like, 50% of it is CGI as they replicate things, but, like, doing the choreography on that set, it's just all power. It's just all power moves. They do crazy things with the lighting. There's, like, red lightning in the sky that has never been
Mhm.
in Oz before.
Right, I mean,
But
her power is going haywire. That's what I'm reading that as, just
mhm,
like,
mhm.
her power is doing something that even she probably couldn't anticipate, and it was probably her desperation fused into the magic that, in fact, saved Fiera. It's beautiful to think
Yeah,
about. Yeah,
yeah. Long distance
it's
magic.
great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's fabulous. I just have to unfortunately give it the Gap because of the robbery.
The robbery, yeah.
Yeah.
March of the Witch Hunters. This was a
Personal
surprising turn for me. It's totally a nap on the original, but I
mhm.
loved what they did with it in this movie, and it is a yap. I love it's just like it's actually one of the only tracks on the second movie soundtrack that feels on par with kind of the pomp and circumstance of the first film's arrangements. There's something that's a little, like, maudlin about a lot of the songs on this soundtrack, and I'm so sorry, Steven. I hope you don't hear this ever. But I just was like, I don't know, it didn't all it does like, some of the, like, arrangements orchestrally don't always resonate with me, but in March of the Witch Hunters, it really did. And Ethan Slater just, like, transforms his voice. He's just this sweet little Bach. Even in The Wicked Witch of the East, when he's gonna go and profess his love to Glinda because he's got that like boyish excitement again. And then there's this roar, this like toxic masculinity roar in his voice that like sends a shiver down your spine. So the way that he was able to like really transform his voice was so impressive to me. The entire ensemble killed it. Killed it. I was just like, we are in trouble. You in danger, girl. Run, Elphaba. I really felt all of that. And then there's a little bit at the end when the way that they wrap the song is by kind of fading out the ensemble because they're marching away from the center that Glinda is observing. And then at the very last bit, you hear this one angry lady just go, "Kill her!" And it's like if you're in a quiet room and you didn't hear it before and you hear it for the first time, it really tickles you. So that was a fun little detail to add at the end.
March of the Witch Hunters. Nap on the original, nap on this one. I don't care. I never did.
And that's all I gotta say.
All I have to say, I
Okay.
could say that the lion still has terrible motivations and shouldn't be part of this crew,
Yeah, I
uh,
agree.
but, I've said it before.
Yeah, and you'll say it again.
Hopefully I don't have Alright, moving on to the girl in the bubble, bright, shiny bubble.
Yep.
It's a yap for you.
Yeah, it is.
For me, hmm, I just know it's not a yap. Nap or gap? It's, like, maybe not quite bad enough to be a nap, but it's big gap. Big old gap. Look at my teeth, cause it's a big old gap.
I call it a yap because I really like the melody. Very different from No Place Like Home because The Girl in the Bubble is also a new song added to the film, and it is Ariana Grande's solo song. I found this melody to be decipherable, something I could follow along, and then also nice. So, I guess my requirements were few and very simple. But I love the way that Ariana Grande sang it. I think it got to showcase the light airiness of her voice that we've come to associate with her voice for many years. She's done an incredible job rising to the challenge with the operatic nature of the character of Belinda's singing. But I also just like to hear airy Ariana, and we got to do that with The Girl in the Bubble, and the melody yeah, the melody was, like, made for her voice to do that, and it was beautiful.
Great points all around. I did not really care. I mean, in the theaters, I was captivated by the cinematography, and I was like, "How did they do this mirror thing?" Which I then looked up
Have
and
you
watched.
seen the video where they explain how they do the mirror thing?
Yes, yes, that was the same
Okay.
Architectural Digest video where they went through all the sets. Yeah, I watched like a 10, 15-minute video, just like watching the breakdown of how they did all of that. And what an expensive film. But,
They recouped it and more, don't worry.
well, I was concerned. I'm a big stakeholder in Universal Pictures, so I I just can't say outside the visuals that I cared a lot about this. I think it's a nice beat. It's a nice they're showing her turn. They're showing her turn, giving it more character and depth than the stage musical does, and that's nice. I'll never know how I would have felt without it because it's in there and I saw it, but it adds more color. That color being pink because the whole scene is pink. It adds more color to Glinda, which is fine. Like, sure, do that. Really, the cinematography is just like what got me. And then what pissed me off, which has nothing to do with the song itself, or very little to do with the song itself, is that the last moment of the song, she says it's time for the bubble to pop and is staring at her floating bubble
And doesn't pop
and
it.
does not pop it.
Why doesn't she do that?
Why doesn't she do it even accidentally? Like, why couldn't she just be holding her wand and like it pokes it and like it surprises her? She could have had any kind of
Yeah.
reaction to it popping.
Sometimes
It
sometimes I think
seems,
that we could have done a much better job with this film than anyone
yeah, yeah, that's right.
who was there.
John Chu, come on the pod. We've got some words for you. Um, I think that they chose to stick with the motif of reflection because she just is staring at her reflection and she walks away.
And she's
Mistake.
reflecting. Yes,
Right.
indeed.
Yeah. But just go like you can have both. You can have both in the scene. She can stare, she can reflect, she can pop, she can walk away. It's all right there for you. You've got it. I wonder if they have that take. I wonder if they did do that. Yeah. So Gap verging on nap. The song itself, I'm just not really. It's very lullabic, lullaby vibes, which is like nice to exist in the world.
That is actually one of the reasons why I like it so much.
Yeah, but it's like a lullaby about a, a privileged girl who needs to wake up. I don't know. I mean, lullabies are always about crazy things. So, but anyway, yeah, I just don't care.
Next, For Good,
And
the song of the second half of the story of Wicked.
right, it's
And
not
I
called
have
wicked,
to
no good
say,
deed.
it is a gap for one reason. The version they have on the recorded soundtrack is not the one they have in the film. In the film, those two women are blubbering. Cynthia Erivo cannot even choke out the words, "I'm limited." And I love that. It's like what we were saying earlier, give us the raw, give us the emotion. And for all the recorded stuff, like film stuff that they put on the soundtrack for us in part 1, they couldn't why didn't you do that for us here? I don't want to hear the karaoke version of For Good. I want to hear the emotional one. And then on top of that, I don't know, I think maybe I just like Idina and Kristen better overall, and will never
Mhm.
really feel like anyone can top them, and that's okay. I think even Ariana and Cynthia would agree.
Mhm. Yeah, I do think this is the one song where it's the hardest to put away the original. Like I can listen to all your new takes and like all the new choices that you're making and really appreciate the journey that we've had to get to this, the 5-hour journey between both movies to get to this point in the story. And also it's like it comes down to like ultimately I wish I were listening to Kristen and Adina. Even if I've like really reveled in what Cynthia and Ariana have been doing this whole time. At the end of the day, I really just want to be listening to Kristen and Adina. Um,
Yeah.
Despite that, I still give it a yap. I do think it's a strong adaptation, and the core is still there. Their voices, as they will tell you, work together beautifully. So it's a yap for me.
Alright, alright. And that does take us to the end of the soundtrack, but I wanna give an honorary mention to the finale track, which can be found on John Powell's score for the film, but on the original soundtrack is the final track. And I don't know, Loving, if you have any opinions on this, but I want to give it a yap because though it's not on the recorded soundtrack, it is really beautiful. The whole score is set in those moments after Elphaba comes out of her hiding place, realizes that Fiyero is indeed alive and that she saved him. And when Glinda is starting to accept and begin a life on her own, rebuilding Oz. And as she's opening the Grimory, staring off into space, and Elphaba is looking back at the home that she's leaving, and the two of them sing, those are the lines with the ensemble in the background that are sung in the original soundtrack, and it's just a beautiful way to cap the story, to offer a callback to the opening song of the entire story, "No One Mourns the Wicked," and, like, just end it, and I love it. I love a timpani. situation at the end there. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, they did a really good job with that. And even though it's not on the full soundtrack, I wanted to give it a shout out. Yep.
Big yap, I agree. Something I wanna point out is that after like, they reprise No One Mourns the Wicked because they, go back to the beginning of Wicked Part 1 at the end of Part 2, and that "She's Dead," I swear they turned the volume up. Like, it's so much m it's so impactful hearing that after watching For Good. Like,
Mhm.
it really landed in me watching it this time around. I was like, because I was with them on that, on their emotional journey despite all the, feedback,
Feelings.
critical feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
we've
we still liked
given.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then we'll talk, we'll give our overall. But that "She's Dead," just like yeah,
We
it
know
just,
what
like,
that
landed with
cost
faith.
is. Know what
Yeah.
that means. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really, really, really good and a strong choice, and just yeah, just being able to loop back around was really awesome. Something I forgot to say about "No Good Deed," crazy lyric. "All helpful urges should be circumvented." I was like,
That's Stephen Schwartz for you.
"It sounds like Moira's shit is in the room with us now." R.I.P. to Catherine. That, like,
R.I.P. Catherine O'Hara.
"All helpful urges should be circumvented." Also, they could rhyme with "Sure, I meant well, but look at what well meant did." I was like, hearing it now, and I've heard it for years. I've heard it for years. I've heard it for a couple of decades, but, like, hearing it now, I was just like, "Girl, what did you just say?"
Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah,
true.
but yeah.
Oh, we did it. That was not rapid fire, but one of these days we'll get it right.
Yeah, lightning round.
Oh, right.
Well, with all that being said, Wicked for Good. Is it a yap, nap, or a gap?
Oh, it's a gap for me. I'm so sorry.
Oh! Oh!
It's a gap.
Yeah.
There's enough of the soundtrack, right, that doesn't sit well with my spirit that it's like, how could it be a yap? Because the soundtrack is, in fact, a very pivotal part of the film.
Musical, right.
Um, but I want to emphasize that I don't find it to be a gap for some of the reasons that I've seen expressed online on social media and also in face-to-face life. I know, right, as a diehard Wicked fan, I know that the second act is a tragedy and that everyone gets what's coming to them at the end. And I was expecting that, again, having seen this musical and listened to the soundtrack so many times. But I think I wanted different execution. I've spent months now turning this over in my head. I think that some of the time spent on certain scenes and songs would have been better spent elsewhere. And we got into that a bit throughout our conversation here on the pod. I differently than the first movie, I don't think anything in the first movie, no second was wasted. Every second was important, and even still, I wanted all the deleted scenes in there. But any scene that was deleted from here was a missed opportunity, truly. And yeah, I would have rearranged some things. The second act is always going to be a disappointment compared to the first, but that I think is also kind of a rule of musical theater. So I accept that as a universal truth. And now that I've said all of that out loud, I feel more confident in stating with my full chest that this was a gap for me.
Yeah, I agree. It is definitely a gap. They can make, like, yeah, like you said, off this conversation alone with the soundtrack, you couldn't in good faith say it's a yap. I think I was really racking my brain after I finished it to think, like, how could they have done this differently? Like, how can you how could they have still split the movie the story into 2 movies and done everything justice. And ultimately, for me and my writer brain, it came down to just don't split it because you are now forced to do a big buildup. Like part 1 has all of the buildup. And now you are forced to retread, to back up, right? That's why Every Day More Wicked exists. It exists to lay that foundation. The movie literally starts with them laying down foundation, right? Putting the road.
Mhm. Which,
Uh,
by the way, why did Madame Marvel just break it all when she made her it really shows that she didn't care about the wizard at all 'cause she just broke it. She broke it when she was making her cyclone.
it was crazy. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if that happens in our world when cyclones come down. Like, I think roads survive. They might need to be, like, managed.
Yeah, I have to Google
I don't
some
know.
photos later.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't come for me, folks in Montana who live through cyclones. I don't know. I don't know what's up.
Montana?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh
I
my
just wanted to
gosh.
call
Okay.
back to my
Geography lesson after this.
wanted to call back to my Montanans. "Someone from Montana, come on the pod." Um,
Okay.
I yeah, it just didn't really work for me. They bodied the first half, the second half was just a tough hang until Wonderful for me is where it really feels like momentum starts, and
Mhm.
that's really late into the movie.
It is
So,
so late, yeah. It's a long film.
it's a
Holy
long film.
macaroni.
Good old 2.5-hour film. So which also is the length of the Chronicles of Narnia. Do you know that? It's 2.5 hours.
You know what? That doesn't it depends. Sometimes it feels long.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels long.
Yeah. So it's a gap. Don't split it. We could have figured something out after Defying Gravity. We could have figured something out. But I think they were better off making one 4-hour movie than a 3-hour and 2.5-hour movie. That's where she stands. It's a gap.
Wow. Wicked for Good is a gap. You know what? That's okay.
And you know what?
We're all gonna
The
survive this.
Academy the Academy agreed. The Academy agreed. I think it's disturbing
The
that
Academy did agree.
production design and costumes got nothing. That is, like,
I agree. Just
it's
anything
giving
related to
review
set,
bombing. I don't know how that happened.
very strange. But you know what? We've said "you know what" a lot in the last 2 minutes, so I'm gonna just leave it there. You know
Well,
what.
yeah. That's it. That's it for our 2-part Whatcha Watchin' review of Wicked for Good. We're glad you could join us for another episode of TV Trauma and Truth. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, Spill, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Send your thoughts and comments to us via email at tvtraumatruthpod@gmail.com. We'll talk to you next time. Until then, try to have more chemistry with the object of your affections than you do with a poster of them.